It's a bitterly cold winter morning in the Bikin River Valley in Russia's far east. These workmen have been loading logs onto trucks for hours. For Yevgeny Lepyoshkin, a conservationist and forestry expert with the WWF, this is a historical moment. The loggers are being forced to leave this part of the valley. The conservation organisation and the indigenous people of the region have leased a large area of the primeval forest.
These trees were cut down 3 months ago, and that's it now. Nothing in this forest will be cleared for commercial use ever again. Only the indigenous people will use the wood for things like repairing their houses. Witnessing this is an indescribable feeling.
The Bikin River Valley is more than 8,000 kilometers from Moscow. It's one of the last true areas of wilderness left in Russia. Yevgeny Lepyoshkin from the WWF offices in Vladivostok has come to visit some of his colleagues. The German government and WWF Germany have contributed over €2.5 million to the Valley Conservation Project.
Our leased forest area is very important for the global climate. It covers almost 500,000 hectares. And if we preserve it in its natural state and prevent road construction, our forest will remain a massive carbon storage area. Many tons of carbon can be prevented from ending up in the atmosphere.
As we drive back to the Bikin River Valley, it becomes clear how much the virgin forest here is under threat. Yevgeny is heading for Krasny Yar, a village buried deep in the forest, almost entirely cut off from the rest of civilization. The Udege and the Nanais live here. They are the indigenous people of the Bikin region. Most still live from hunting and fishing. They use wood from the forest for heating.
Who will protect the valley aside from us? There are poachers and illegal loggers. Outsiders don't take conservation seriously. We make a special effort.
That's why the WWF and the people of Krasny Yar have leased the area. Yevgeny, his colleagues and members of the indigenous community are working together to decide where to set up checkpoints. As the new leaseholders, they now have power over broad sections of the Bikin region.
At the checkpoints, we will stop all vehicles as well as people on foot. Our people will verify if everything is above board. For example, whether people who wish to hunt have permits and registered weapons. And of course, we'll also monitor all logging transports through our area.
These researchers from Vladivostok are working with the villagers to determine the size of animal populations here at the end of the hunting season. Tracks in the snow help them. Under the program, the hunters are being taught just how sensitive this region is, especially as the effects of climate change become more serious.
We have fewer animals here every year. That's probably because we've had a lot of snow here in the past few years. There were definitely fewer wild boar and deer during hunting season. We had a smaller yield.
The forest plays an extremely important role in the survival of wildlife in the Bikin River Valley. The cones and seeds of the Korean pine tree, for example, are a source of food for many of this region's creatures. Yevgeny and his team are already making plans for when the German funding for their conservation program comes to an end in 2011.
By then, we will know exactly how many tons of carbon our forests can store. And we'll receive emission certificates. We can sell the emission certificates to firms around the world and earn money to pay for our lease.
Patrols are carried out to discourage poaching and the exploitation of resources. Today, this team is going to visit a public hunting hut. At the end of the hunting season, poachers often stay overnight here. The hut is empty, but there are signs that people have been here. the patrol team will have to return. A few hundred meters from the road, the team discovers the tracks of a young Amur tiger. Yevgeny is delighted. The Amur tiger is endangered and there are only 500 left in the world. The Bikin River Valley is their domain.
Stopping unregulated logging will have a positive impact on the number of tigers. Without illegal clearing, the population of animals on which they prey will increase.
Back in Krasny Yar, Yevgeny visits the newly built cultural centre for the first time. This is also a part of the initiative. Here, the Udegi and the Nanais hope to showcase and build understanding for their culture, as well as encourage ecotourism.
We would love to show eco-tourists our beautiful countryside. We already know that many people want to visit us, but we aren't ready yet. In 2 or 3 years, we will be. Under their lease, the WWF and the indigenous people here will be able to protect the Bikin River Valley until the year 2058. By then, Yevgeny hopes, the Russian government will have stepped in and declared this globally vital forest land a conservation area.